Hey, welcome to this card tutorial for HeidiSwapp.com. Today we're going to be assembling several cards, and I want to get started with supplies. So obviously with cards, you're going to need a card base. And so I've made 5. You can make as many of these cards as you want, but I have made 5. So we're just going to go with 5 for today. So these are just basic cardstock. The cover is not really going to matter because we're going to actually make cardstock covers, which you're going to need cardstock for as well. I like to use a textured cardstock. I don't know if you can tell that. This is a basil white. I like to use a textured cardstock for my covers, and so we'll be trimming these down to about 4.5 by 5. Next things we're going to need is from Winter Wonderland. So I'm going to be using the ephemera from Heidi Swapp Winter Wonderland. I've pulled a couple pieces that I think I'm going to be at least wanting to look at for how this card's going to go. So that's what's in the bowl, and this is how the packaging looks. And I've got everything linked below, so and on my blog, so you can find all product there. Cardstock stickers are going to be used in this as well. And these are just some good sturdy cardstock stickers. Then we have stamp dies. This is the heart and soul of what we're doing today. I'm going to be using this Christmas die, and the wreath die as well is going to be used. And I'll probably be using the other stamp set for some sentiment. And then trim, I'm always going to be using trim on my on my cards. So there's that. I have the mini evolution is in the house. I've been using this quite a bit, and this is great for card making. It's just perfect for these size dies. And then of course the plates that go along with that. And then you're also going to need a corner rounder, and of course you're going to need adhesive, and you're going to need a trimmer and scissors and those basic kinds of things. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start first off by, like I mentioned before, using textured cardstock to act as my cover. So I've made the card bases, and I'm cutting cardstock to 4.25 by 5.5 inches tall. And that's sort of like a canvas. It's a base. It's the background paper for these particular cards. I almost always employ this approach to my card making. And then I'm just going to set these up just like we've been talking about already, assembly line style. At this point, though, I want to go ahead and prep all the embellishments that will be going on the card. So you can see here, I'm trimming out baker's twine. And I have a pretty good idea how this card is going to go. So I'm needing the twine to wrap around the card. So I've cut that 24 inches. Now I'm going to use this pattern paper from Winter Wonderland and cutting 2 and then also 2.25 inch strips. They started off 3/4 inches wide. And I almost always do that for little notched banners or tags or flags or whatever you would like to call those. So 2 different sizes per each card, just going through and getting them trimmed out. And you'll see how getting all these ready all at once just is a super easy way to get cards done pretty quick. Now, the little almost, we could call this lazy, but let's call it industrial. The industrial part of me is layering these 2 tags up together and then creating the V-notch all at one time. And so then not only is it just sort of make it quicker, I'm getting one card set done at a time, but then each of the notched banner pairs are exactly the same. They have the same sort of V-notch going on with each card, and it looks even and it looks right, and it was super easy to do. This was not something that takes too much cleverness to figure out, so that is what's happening here. Next, I forgot to mention that I was cutting out the Christmas die with glitter paper. So add to your supply list the glitter paper. And that is what I'm going to be using here. So I'm grabbing the mini evolution and setting that in place. And the gray plate, the paper that you're going to be cutting, in this instance, it's the glitter paper. And then the die, and then the clear plate on top. and just running that through. And I think I might have run it through twice. Yeah, I went forward, then I went backwards. I just sometimes, because the glitter paper can be a little tough to get cut all the way through. And so you can see I'm just making sure I pull my cut out without tearing anything. And I have a gorgeous glittered Christmas. I just love that Christmas die so much. So getting that supply done here, and I have 5 of those. Now for the wreath, I'm also using the die and the mini evolution to cut out the wreath. And I tried to run it through there without the plates. I don't even know what I was thinking. That's just crazy. This is being cut on the white cardstock also. And so why are you cutting it on a white cardstock? I just wanted some more texture in the background. You're going to see how that plays out. It's going to be super subtle, but it adds a nice touch. I meant to trim the squared edges of my notched banners and round them out. I just like the way that looked a little better. So I'm using We Are Memory Keepers corner rounder to take care of all those corners super quick. And again, I could have layered those up. I don't know why I didn't. There's no rhyme or reason. So now let's enter into the actually assembling our card. And so each of these are going to be exactly the same to start. And so the baker's twine is being tied around to the top. And at first I had this tied pretty close to the top. And then later on, you're going to see I'm going to adjust it down just a little bit. And then on that left side, make sure there's enough room. It's about 2 inches. Make sure it's enough room for the Christmas die to sit right in there. And that's where its placement's going to be. I'm showing off this Tombow Aqua glue, liquid glue, because it has a pin type tip. And so this is great to use on these really small line dies. And I didn't cover the whole entire back of it with glue, just parts of it. And so it's going to sort of float on the paper. Now I will tell you a little tip here. Add the wreaths, that's hard to say. Add the wreath in first. I went back and I added all my wreaths in right underneath that. Again, you can see now how it's sort of subtle, but you can see something's there. And it just gives a little more anchor to what else is going to take place here on these cards. I'm going to finish up putting the Christmas dies all in place. So that's what's happening here. Last cards being taken care of right now. These are starting to look really good. I love the glitter, the silver glitter on the white, especially when it's textured. Have a little bit of color with the black and white baker's twine. So now I am just adding a little bit of adhesive to the top of each of these tags, and I'm tucking them under the bow. See how I pulled that down? So pull that down a little bit. Don't have the bow at the very top. And so it appears as though it's attached to the bow, but it's not. It's just an easy way to have that in place. Now here's where these cards take a little bit of variation, and I love how this worked out. I am using ephemera, and I'm using different pieces of ephemera. Like on this one, that first one there, I used a vellum floral piece, and I cut it in half, so it's kind of just hanging on the top there. I am adding that bird there with Pop Dot. Use Pop Dots to put these elements in place. And then I had this sentiment that I'm also adding Pop Dots on there off camera, and that looked really nice. The next 2 cards, I'm using the cardstock sticker. And at first, you're going to see I just put them right onto the bow and the layers of the notch. And later on, I went back and I added Pop Dots to them as well. It looks a lot better. It stays in place as well, a lot more secure. Now to finish up each of these cards, we're almost finished. I went ahead and decided to add a sentiment in the lower corner. So these are obviously Christmas cards. And then I'm going to add in I believe I did Happy Holidays. So just layer 2 of the sentiments from the stamp set. And again, just assembly, just now while you have one type of stamp on your stamp block, just get them all in place. And I changed my stamp again, and I went back and add the happy to all of the edges as well. So that is going to make for the card to be finished up I'm going to distress all the edges. I'm just going to show you the one here. I'll distress all the edges of the card covers, and then I don't think I show it, but I attach them to their card bases, and you have 5 cards completed in not a lot of time. And the texture is beautiful on these. There's just enough color. The variations, you can add any sort of banner tag you want. You could change up the color. You could make this gold. You could make that red glitter. These cards, you could make 5 of them one way and 5 another way, and you could have all your Christmas cards done in just an afternoon's time with this sketch idea and my technique for getting a bunch of cards done at one time. So thank you so much for watching. All the supplies plus the post is linked below, and I would love a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. Until next time.